Hey everybody, it's Rustabout Collector here. Today we are taking a look at two of the new vintage collection figures from the Obi Wan Kenobi series. These came in very quickly. I was expecting them to ship, months and months away, and then suddenly I got the notification that, hey, surprise, you're getting your pre-orders early or on time. I don't even know anymore because honestly my pre-orders are so confusing these days. I just order them and pray that the funds are in the bank account when when they ship. So luckily these came in pretty quickly, and it's nice to actually have some characters from a show while it's still, relevant. Like, it just wrapped up, like a week or two ago, and now we have the figures in hand. I know some people were finding them on store shelves even before this, but yeah, it's really nice. It should be normal, but unfortunately it's not. It's kind of rare these days to have new characters in hand fresh when the show is fresh, But that said, I'm going to unbox both of these in this video. There will be time codes down below in case you want to skip to one or the other. But yeah, I'm really excited to get into these. These are two very cool looking figures with all new sculpt work and some really awesome accessories. So let's dive into it. I'm going to start off with Reva. I know she was somewhat of a controversial character to some, but I really enjoyed her performance. I also just enjoyed her character as a whole. It was interesting to see some dynamics between the different Inquisitors, and yeah, as a whole, I enjoyed Kenobi. Were there parts that I was maybe less a fan of? Sure, but by and large, I had a good time with it. It was a good show, and I need to go back and actually watch it all the way through without the week-long gaps between episodes. But overall, I really like this character. I love the design. It's nice to get, I think, our first Inquisitor figure in Vintage Collection. I could be mistaken, but I think this is our first Inquisitor in Vintage Collection. So this is really exciting and hopefully a sign of things to come. We definitely need, I think it's the seventh sister from Fallen Order, and really any Inquisitor. We just need them all. I want them all. Give me all the Inquisitors and I'll be happy. The card art imagery here is really nice. It's a good image of the character, and I love the red color that they chose for the backdrop and nameplate here. It really contrasts against the black of the Inquisitor uniform. It's just very iconic. It really pops here, and I dig it so much. This, of course, is on the Obi Wan Kenobi card back, the first figures from this series. And on the back, you can see some of the other characters that are coming out soon, hopefully soon at least. We have the Dark Times Vader, which I have on order. We have the Morak Boba Fett, which I have on order. And we have, well, actually, I pretty much have all these except for Anakin. I didn't really need that Anakin. So this is one of the few times when I actually have all of these on order, hopefully getting them soon. That'd be really nice. But yeah, that's unusual for waves of Vintage Collection. I don't typically buy every figure. Unfortunately, even though this figure was packed in a box that was plenty large enough for both cards, you can see there that crease that runs across it. Yeah, it's damaged. Of course it is. Eventually, I had to fall prey to what many other collectors have already experienced, so yeah, it's okay. I'm not going to keep this on card or anything. I do save all my cards, but I'm not too worried about it, so yeah, kind of annoying, but definitely not a deal breaker for me because, again, I'm going to open it. And here is the third sister all out of the packaging. You can see we get quite a few accessories, which is really nice. We get the double-bladed lightsaber, we get the split lightsaber, and then we get the unignited hilt. It's really awesome to see that many accessories included with a figure. Also, we get to see some soft goods, which is awesome for her cape. It just makes posability so much more improved. And yeah, overall, I'm really impressed with this figure. Seeing some new sculpt work, actually really the whole thing is new sculpt work, and that's super exciting to see. The sculpt work and face printing tech on the Vintage Collection has gone through the roof in terms of quality lately. It's really amazing to see how far they have come with it, and yeah, we're basically getting little mini Hot Toys, it feels like. They're just so detailed, and this is no exception. Another really cool detail is that the Imperial logo is actually sculpted into her shoulder armor there. Just on the one side, I noticed that on the card art actually, and I was kind of curious how they were going to do that on the figure, if they were going to represent it at all. But as you can see there, they actually did it. They sculpted it on there, which is awesome. I think soft goods was definitely the way to go here with this design. It's just like a little triangle of fabric that's split down the middle, and it's affixed just at the top right there in a very small section between the two shoulder pads. It works really well though. I think it has a nice flow to it. It definitely will look a little bit better than like a molded cape. I'm not typically a huge fan of the molded plastic capes. Sometimes they're necessary, but whenever possible, I like soft goods. Getting an up-close look at the accessories, here we have the ignited double blade with that circular hilt. Looks really awesome. The detail on the sculpt and paintwork is just amazing. To follow that up, we have the split blades where the hilt is detached into two parts. It's pretty cool that they included this as well. I think we only see it used once as a feature in the show, but still, really nice to have some extra blades and some different posing options. I really dig that. And then finally, we have the deactivated hilt. Again, great detail here with sculpt and paintwork. There's a little peg right there, and that allows you to affix it to her belt. Well, it took some doing, but I finally got it to sit on the belt like it's supposed to. The belt is made out of a softer plastic, and the hilt is made out of a softer plastic, so it kind of takes a little bit of finagling to get the peg to actually go where it's supposed to. It's a little bit tricky. The peg kind of wants to bend and, not do what it's supposed to. But with a little bit of patience, you can get it to fit on there just fine. So that's really cool. It's a great way to display it if you maybe want to have her in a more serious pose where she's not fighting anybody, but maybe she's inspecting some troops or just, posing with Darth Vader or something on a shelf. This will look really cool and just allows you to save a little bit of room, I guess, because this could take up extra space depending on how you have it posed. Now, because this is all new sculpt work, we definitely got to talk about articulation. It probably won't be anything revolutionary for those of you that are familiar with the vintage collection, but it's still worth noting. So up at the top here, we have the double ball joint at the head, giving you side to side, giving you forward and back, some really good motion there. At the shoulders, we have a hinge and swivel. You can swivel it forward to there and back to there. You can technically go all the way around, but it does flex up that shoulder pad. It's a softer plastic, but it's only glued down, so I'd be kind of nervous about maybe eventually over time wearing out that glue. You can hinge the shoulders up to just under 90. I think I'm flexing that joint a little bit. That's why you see that bending down there. The elbows are single jointed, swivel all the way around, hinge into well past 90. That's a really nice point of articulation to see there. And then at the wrists, we just have a simple swivel all the way around. No hinge or anything because I believe there's just not enough room to really facilitate that joint. At the waist, you have a ball joint allowing you to tilt side to side as well as forward and back. At the hips, we have the new vintage collection ball joint design. I really am glad that they switched to ball joints and traded out those kind of ridiculous swivels. They were just very complicated to get the position you wanted. So here we can go full split. We can go forward and back, just way more range of motion here, which is so great for posing dynamically on the shelf or doing toy photography. Whatever you want to do with these, that ball joint is a huge improvement. Of course, we also have a thigh swivel there and then a single jointed knee that gets you to 90. Down at the foot, you have a hinge and rocker that can point to there, go forward to there, and of course, side to side rocker. All in all, this is really solid articulation. This is what I think is kind of in my mind the new baseline for vintage collection. This is what every figure should have in terms of range of motion, articulation points. The ball jointed hips need to be on like every single figure going forward. And yeah, the face printing here looks amazing. The new sculpt work looks amazing. I know we can't expect new tooling on every figure. There is a set budget for that, but I love that they're using it for characters like Reva and Obi Wan Kenobi. And yeah, this new level of sculpt work and detail and articulation is just so amazing to see. So that wraps up the review of Reva. Again, I think this figure is amazing. This is everything that the vintage collection can be with new Star Wars properties rolled into one figure. Makes me really excited to get into Obi Wan Kenobi right after this because, I mean, all new sculpt work, face printing, all that good stuff rolled into a figure like this. It's so nice to see. It really, really is. So now let's talk the main man of the show, Obi Wan Kenobi in his wandering Jedi robes. Yeah, I'm really excited to have this one too. I mean, come on, it's Obi Wan Kenobi in his like in-between outfit, between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. And here's a really good image of him on that one planet from the start of episode 2, I think, episode 2 of the Kenobi show. I could be wrong, but I think that's where it's from. On the bubble here, he looks very stern and angry. You get some really good accessories though, 2 lightsaber hilts, a blaster, and 2 different versions of Lola. I absolutely love that. I was not expecting them to include Lola with this figure, so that is a welcome surprise. This isn't my favorite costume for him. I think I prefer the blue tunic, but you know, I hope that they release all of them like they have with the Black Series, so fingers crossed we get all of those eventually. Of course, this card art could not make it through the Amazon warehouse without a little bit of damage, just a slight bend here in the corner. No big deal to me really, again, just because I'm going to open it, but worth noting, I guess. On the back here, same stuff, legalese, characters that we already saw. Yeah, let's break this packaging open. And now for the man, the myth, the legend, Obi Wan Kenobi, and Lola, of course. This figure is really, really cool. This figure has a lot to love about it. I mean, beyond the fact that it's Obi Wan Kenobi in an all-new uniform with some soft goods, it's just got some great articulation that I can already see coming out of it. The little Lola characters are also really awesome. It's just nice to have some more droid characters to put around on the shelves or on displays somewhere, maybe incorporate them into some sort of custom. I don't know, it's just really cool to see. The only thing that I'm not totally sold on here is the face printing. Something about the eyes feel a little bit maybe dead to me. I don't really know. When you compare it to the Reva figure, something just feels a little bit less lifelike about the eyes. I'm not totally sure, and I might just be kind of going crazy there. It's hard to say. I love the face sculpt going on here, though. I love the wash that they've given the hair. It just helps that sculpt pop out a little bit more. Looks really, really good. We've got these nice heavy soft goods, which I'm not crazy about. Like, the soft good cloaks just never really worked for me. They always ended up being a little bit too baggy. This is good, but definitely not great, and it may not be how I typically display this figure, but it is an option. You can always, you know, maybe find a way to get it to lay a little bit better than I can here in the video. But yeah, it's there if you want it. You can lay the hood back. You can kind of, sort of get it to go over top of his head. Not really. Not really at all, actually, unfortunately, but it is there to at least, you know, cover him on his arms. So that works as a possible display option. I guess also if you keep the cloak on him, you can hide that lightsaber hilt there on his belt, cover that up over there, and then he's holding this lightsaber. The blaster is in his holster, and that way all of his accessories, apart from the little droid, are actually on him, and you're less likely to lose them, I guess. That's one perk here with the cloak and everything on him. The lightsaber, of course, if you feel so inclined, you can give him his blaster pistol. This is once again cast in a much gummier plastic than what I'm used to, at least with the figures that I grew up with. So it can be kind of tricky to force it in there, but if you flex the fingers open, it'll work just fine, and then he can hold it just like that. You know, he can be running around all stealth mode with his blaster pistol, like James Bond or something, or maybe he's hunting down Grievous again, you know, to be uncivilized with his blaster pistol. I do like that. It's a cool blaster design as well. Like, just in general, that's a really sweet looking blaster pistol. If I ever happened upon one of these figures at clearance or something, I'd probably get another one just for custom fodder with that blaster. You know, I could definitely use that on other characters. But yeah, the accessories that he does come with are very nice, all movie accurate, and it's great that he just has everything he needs for a good Obi-Wan figure. And of course, we gotta talk about the little Lola pieces. I hesitate to even call them figures because they're just tiny little cast pieces with some nice paint apps and everything. These are really, really delicate, really small, but also very detailed for what they are. I really appreciate that. The paint apps are nice and crisp, you know, the line work and everything. They're sculpted to look really cool, and one thing that I just now noticed is actually that this is on a small little ball joint. Sorry if that's not staying in focus. It is very tricky to actually get these to stay in focus, but the little legs there, that is a tiny, tiny little ball joint that you can see just popped out, but that allows you to reorient the legs depending on where you want Lola to be posed, and as you can see, I keep dropping this. I'm gonna lose this so quickly. Oh my gosh, even the little fins on the back are posable as well. So you can actually get a lot of characterization out of this little droid, which is amazing. I did not expect that. I thought this was just one little cast piece of plastic, but no, this is like a fully articulated figure for what it's worth, you know, for the size of it. It's fully articulated. The little fins are articulated, the legs can be moved on that little ball joint, and you can get some different little, you know, you could have them be maybe excited or quizzical or, you know, just you can have a lot of fun with it. That is so cool. And there's not one but two versions that you get with this set. This one being more of a little hovering flight mode version, so it is just a little disc on a clear plastic base, also on a removable little ball joint just like that. So I suppose if you wanted to, you could actually take the legs off of this one, and just like that, you could have a more closed down version of Lola. I can't remember if it was ever like this in the movie, but you know what? Who cares? If you prefer this version, absolutely go with this. If you like the more opened up and posable version, just swap it over, and there you go. I absolutely love that they included these, and the detail is just stunning. It's just that I'm really afraid of losing them. They are so stinking small that I feel like one breeze would just blow them off my desk and pretty much into oblivion. But hopefully I can keep track of them and, you know, get some toy photography and stuff like that with these because they are just so, so cool. Now then, we kind of got to talk about the boring stuff, the articulation, the stuff that we pretty much already know what we're going to get, but we got to talk about it anyways stuff. Yeah, double ball joint up at the head, side to side tilt, forward tilt, back tilt, really, really good articulation there. Hinge and swivel at the shoulders all the way around, hinge up to just past 90, hinge and swivel at the elbows, hinge into there, hinge and swivel wrists, so you have an up and down here, swivel all the way around, and you have an up and down here as well, and swivel all the way around there. The torso is a ball joint. I feel like this cut is a little bit awkward. I wish that they had dropped the ball joint down maybe a little bit more towards his belly button. It just looks a little awkward being so high up, but you still get some good side to side there. You get forward, you get back crunch. I'm not totally sold on that. That just kind of stands out to me, like my eye is drawn immediately to this big crease across his chest. Down to the legs, once again, we have the ball joint system, so we can get outwards to there. We can get forward to right about there before the tunic gets in the way. That is a soft plastic, but it still does impede it just a little bit. You can get back to there, thigh swivel, single jointed knees that gets you right to there, and then hinge and rocker at the foot that lets you point to there, forward to there, and side to side rock. By now we're pretty much all familiar with these new points of articulation, but it is nice to see how they get incorporated to new tooling and new sculpted parts because it could be different from figure to figure. The only thing that really stands out to me here is the weird cut here, like I mentioned already, and I do feel like the knees are a little bit low on the legs. Like you can kind of see there, just proportionally, I feel like the knee should be just a few millimeters higher. That's a very, very strange, maybe very nitpicky gripe, but that's just one of the things that stood out to me. The knee joint, that gap there, but overall, I do like this figure. It's a really good representation of the character. The face is maybe a little bit off. I don't know if it's the sculpting or if it's the printing, but either way, it just stands out to me a little bit. But really, those are pretty minor when looking at the figure as a whole. It's very solid. It's got good soft goods. The number of accessories is really nice as well. You know, you get the deactivated hilt, the blaster, the activated hilt, and two very, very cool little droids. As you probably saw, I'm actually blown away by the detail on these and the fact that there is articulated fins on this one. It's just so, so cool. Something I would never have expected from this size of a little miniature, a little droid. It's just crazy. And then finally, let's do a quick comparison between this Obi-Wan and some of the other vintage collection Obi Wan Kenobis we've gotten recently. That being in particular the Clone Wars Obi Wan Kenobi and the Attack of the Clones Obi Wan Kenobi. I just picked this one up at GameStop and I've had him for quite a while, but as you can see, they stack up pretty well next to each other. They are the same height because they are the same character, so that's nice to see. Yeah, unfortunately this guy has different leg lengths. I just found that out after opening him up, and that kind of makes standing him up a little bit janky, but good face printing, solid figure. There's your 3-second review of this figure. And then we'll put him next to an antenna mold clone trooper, as well as the skinny mold 501st Clone Trooper. Pretty good scaling overall, I'd say. I think I prefer them next to the antenna mold. These guys maybe are just a little bit too tall, but you could always, spare any credits for an old wounded veteran. I've said this before, and I will probably say it again, but honestly, this is what vintage collection truly can be. It's just great sculpting, great printing, great accessories, and it makes me wonder why sometimes we get this and sometimes we get skinny mold clone troopers. It's kind of baffling to me, but overall, when they get it, they really do get it, and this is when they get it. So that is where we are wrapping up this video. As always, there's a link down in the description if you want to follow me over on Instagram or any of my other social media platforms. But that is pretty much everything. So as always, thank you all so much for watching. Have a wonderful evening, noon, or night, depending on when you're watching this video. And as always, I will catch you all in the next video.